This week, Joe, news of the Ballon d'Or. Congratulations to Ousmane Dembele, of course, taking home the Ballon d'Or. But lots of news about the top 10. I think a lot of people critiquing maybe players that weren't in the top 10. Yeah, there were some big omissions, weren't there? A lot of people had a lot to say. And I'm pleased to say we've got a man here that was at the Ballon d'Or, Lyes. And you are proper prawn sandwich VIP red carpet, mate. I'm surprised you've still got time for us, mate.
A little bit of caviar, a little bit of this, a little bit of foie gras, you know.
Oh, God.
Right, let's still get up and walk out.
He's changed.
Quickly, I've tasted luxury now, man. I can't go back. But that was a good time, man. Yeah, I agree. The order of the names, a little shaky, but terrific time.
What were your thoughts on the top 10? Before we get into what we're doing, just give us your thoughts on.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. For me, the biggest one was Cole Palmer at 8. I love Cole Palmer to death, but I don't think his season warranted number 8. I'm seeing Harry Kane out of the top 10, Pedri out of the top 10, some real questionable ones. But I do agree. I think the right guy won. I think Ousmane Dembele was the worthy winner.
Well, it brings us nicely onto this part, doesn't it, John?
Yeah, absolutely. Today we're going to get Lyes's actual 10 best players in the world. So this is from January 2025 onwards. So this is the 10 you think should have been picked.
Well, no.
Well, kind of.
Because
a bit of a
again,
shift.
I want to make this really clear. Nothing that happened before January 2025 has been included in this list. It's just the last 8-9 months of action.
Who's been the best player this year?
Yes.
Is what we're
there you go.
Best players right now. And interestingly, you've actually got 12 magnets.
For 10 slots.
And we don't know the order yet because you don't know. That's how much time you've put into it.
Look, man, I never claimed to have invented the game of football, right? I don't know everything. So this is going to be a group effort at times. I'm going to be I'm going to be leaning on my fellow friends here for a bit of help at times. But
and of course, we're going to get Nieve's take at the end. We're going to get your thoughts on any omissions as well.
Throughout as well.
Yeah.
Make sure you chip it in.
This was really, really difficult, guys. But I do think the 12 names I brought forward, I think have been the 12 best performers. Yeah.
Okay. So is there 3 names you're guessing between for 10? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
What are the 3 names you're not sure on between for 10?
And it's crazy because they're actually all ridiculous players. My 3 names I'm going for 10 are Michael Olise for Bayern, Vitinha for PSG, and Virgil van Dijk for Liverpool. Now, I'm splitting hairs between all 3 of them. I think Olise, since making that move to Bayern, I can't remember many players that have gone from the level of, all due respect, Crystal Palace to a side as gigantic as Bayern and looked so at home almost immediately. Like, it doesn't seem to faze him, the stage that he's playing on. And particularly the second half of the season, I feel like he's gone from strength to strength to strength. He finished the end of last season ridiculously well in terms of goal contributions and has started the season, which I think is very big for this list as well, too, how you've started the year, how you started the campaign, very, very well. So I think he deserves a shout. Vitinha, I didn't think should have finished 3rd in the Ballon d'Or,
I agree with that.
But I think his influence on that PSG team was outstanding. He was really the hub of that team. His pass accuracy for how many passes he pulls off a game is outstanding. And then for me, the best center back in the world, without a doubt in my opinion, has also started the season ridiculously well. But I also think with Liverpool, the title was kind of wrapped up by February in my head. They weren't playing in the Champions League for large parts of the year. So does that kind of go against him? But at the end of the day as well, too, Van Dijk has played at such a ridiculous level that we shouldn't penalise him.
And it's interesting you said there, obviously all had great seasons. I think we're all fans of Vitinha, but I do think him finishing 3rd was a lot higher than a lot of people thought. But Virgil van Dijk, you've described as the best player in the world in his position. So he's probably the only one you've got out of the 3 that is the best in his position in the world.
But that's also based on...
Is that a factor that comes into it?
It does a little bit, because at the end of the day, too, who do I think is the best player of these 3? I do think it's Van Dijk. But if I really think based on form, Vitinha is so difficult to kind of overlook.
Van Dijk and Olise weren't even in the top 20.
Olise finished 30th, by the way.
What did you think of that, Nieve?
Yeah, I think with Olise as well, it's like Bayern without him, Bayern with him, the vast improvement is just... But Van Dijk as well, it's not been the easiest to be a defender for Liverpool in this year as well. So I think we're really seeing a side to him that's like, whoa, even better.
Who would be your 10th? Who would you have put in there out of those 3?
I think out of those 3, I would go with Van Dijk.
I'd agree.
I don't mind that. You know, honestly, like, again, I'm leaning on you guys here as well, too. But I looked at the rest of the list, and people might be thinking, Van Dijk got 10. Are you crazy? Some of the names on this list.
We've got to get a centre-back in there, I think. You think it's hard. Positionally, it's very hard to get defenders.
And I agree with Nieve's point as well, too. At the moment of Liverpool, they're obviously winning games, but it's not like it's smooth sailing. I almost feel at times he's holding that entire back four.
He's so crucial to them as well. You look at the depth they have going forward, and any injured players in their forward positions they can replace. They've got squad depth so much. I think an injury to Van Dijk would be catastrophic for Liverpool.
Who's at 9?
Okay, at 9, I've gone for Nuno Mendes. And this is typically, I'm not someone who absolutely raves about fullbacks, but this guy, along with someone else who's going to make an appearance on my list, were absolutely ridiculous over this calendar year. And I think as well, too, Nuno Mendes in the Champions League had that incredible game against Mohamed Salah in the Champions League, where I really thought he did well to nullify him. Then against Bukayo Saka in the semifinals, I think he did incredibly well against him, too. And for me, his crowning moment this year was the Nations League final against Lamine Yamal. For me, the best player in the world, going into that game on fire and completely shut down his game. This guy has emerged this season for me as the best left back in the world. I think both sides of the game as well, too, defensively so strong, but popped up with big goals throughout the Champions League as well, too. I almost feel like he has a bit of everything in terms of passing, splitting the lines, popping up in attacking positions. I think he was absolutely ridiculous this season, and I couldn't overlook him.
It feels a long time since the January window when he was genuinely being linked with a move away with that contractual situation, wasn't it? Now, it's like a lock for that role as best left back in the world, isn't it, Nieve?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything you said.
Okay,
love
get
that.
In 9.
Yeah, I mean, the fullback options at PSG are ridiculous.
This is where I think it starts to get really tough.
It gets interesting now.
It gets tough. I'm looking between two guys, and
who's the two choices?
I'm looking between Mbappe and Mohamed Salah. You guys, you can please hear the name I'm saying right now. Salah and Mbappe. I'm arguing for 8th and 7th. But again,
how come we're at Mbappe and we're only at 8?
In terms of should he be higher?
You'd have him higher, Nieve, would you?
Maybe, yeah.
I considered having him higher as well, too. This is really, really difficult. I think both of them you could make the argument for higher. Again, Salah, I think it's a similar situation to the Van Dijk in terms of February onwards. I didn't think Liverpool were competing on as many fronts. The league was pretty much wrapped up. And I do think Salah, January was very strong for him. The first half of the season was absolutely ridiculous, but I think other guys have also had pretty good 2025s to his level, which you couldn't have said before that. And I think start of the season, maybe a few guys have started it a bit stronger than he has. That's nothing to take away from Salah. And Mbappe, it's almost the opposite. The beginning of the 24-25 season, I thought was a real struggle for him. But since January, I think the guy scored 17 goals in the second half of La Liga. And the start of the season as well, too, he looks like a man possessed at the moment.
It's crazy.
He looks hungry, he looks sharp, he looks quick. So because of that, because we're again factoring in 2025 so much, I actually think I'm going to give the edge to Kylian Mbappe. If it was for the whole season, it would have definitely been Salah.
It's an interesting point you make, actually, because whole season stats, I know you say this from January, but whole season stats last season, Salah 29 goals and 18 assists in 38, which is unbelievable. 18 assists, by the way.
Ridiculous.
Mbappe, 31 goals and 3 assists in 34, but you make an interesting point about we did it from January in the second half of the season.
I think 12 of them came in the second half of the season, 16 in the first half. Again, you're splitting margins here.
Yeah, a little bit. But Mbappe has also started the season, like you said, on fire. He's already scored 7 goals.
His presence at the moment, it's like every single game I'm expecting him to just do something crazy.
Physically, he looks even better than ever. Like stronger,
Yeah.
faster.
He came to Madrid last year, and I almost felt he looked a little, and this is crazy to say about Mbappe, but almost like a little heavy at times. Seriously, the step-overs didn't look as sharp. This year, oh my goodness, every touch he's taking now looks lightning.
And I think it's like telling that, Vinicius' future now... It's been brought into question a little bit with the contractual situation.
He looks back to being the best player. He looks back the best player in the world level.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to number 6.
Number 6, I've gone with another fullback. I normally don't include one. I've gone for 2, but I honestly think the season the two PSG fullbacks put together is up there as a pairing of anything I've seen from fullbacks. They were so integral. And when you look at Luis Enrique's system, I almost describe it as like a living organism. You look at the system in the team, and you have players just consistently rotating. And I don't think that's encapsulated by anyone more than Achraf Hakimi, who's a right back on the team sheet, but pops up in midfield, pops up in attacking midfield, on the wing. He's scoring goals. I think he finished with 27 goal contributions.
He got 11 goals and 16 assists in all comps PSG last season in the position he has, adding his defensive capabilities.
And I think with Hakimi, I really love what I'm seeing from Hakimi, because I remember this guy at Dortmund and Inter, right? He was obviously a great right back, but I almost looked at him as like a typical wing back. Hold the width, bomb up and down, cross balls. And I was like, it's good, but is he best in the world? He has completely reinvented his game under Luis Enrique, and I thought he was sensational this season.
I think positionally as well, he's almost in as a striker at times, but he was also 6th in the Ballon d'Or list, so let's put him in that.
There you go, not bad.
Let's go to your top 5. Again, spicy top 5. This is difficult, isn't it?
Very, very difficult. At number 5, funny enough, he finished here in the Ballon d'Or as well, too. I've gone for Rafinha. Similar to Salah, I think the first half of the season, this past season, he was unbelievable, and he would have been higher up. But I think 2025, it almost started to mold more into Yamal's side in terms of he really was the main difference maker. And I think he's been unbelievable. I do think he was snubbed a little for the Ballon d'Or. I think he should have been a little higher up because the amount of goals and assists, again, this guy put up in the big games as well, too. Real Madrid, Inter, Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich. It almost felt like he was the finisher of most moves that Barcelona kind of pulled off. So
59 goal contributions last season.
He did finish 5th in the Ballon d'Or, and you've got him 5th as well. So that one you agree with?
No, I don't. For the year, I think 5th. But again, similar to Salah, I think he started the season so on fire that he should have been, for me, 3rd or 4th, in my opinion.
I have to say as well, I think most Champions League goal involvements last season, Rafinha.
I think he was the joint top scorer of the competition with Girassi.
Crazy. Nieve, you happy with 5th?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, let's put him in 5th and go into the top.
Okay, we're getting to the nitty-gritty now, the top 4. Now, this is who you got for 4th, interestingly?
I've gone for Harry Kane.
This was a glaring omission for the top 10 for me. I know that people might perceive me to be biased as a Spurs fan, but 13th for Harry Kane
Why do you think
was
that is?
ridiculous. I think he's been one of the most underrated and underappreciated players.
Can I tell you why I think it is?
Go on.
I think the Ballon d'Or has a huge preference to who really does well in Europe and on international stages.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you look at the Ballon d'Or since 2006, the 4 winners have basically been you either have to be Ronaldo, you have to either be Messi, you either have to have won the Champions League, or you have to have an incredible international competition. Look at every winner since 2006.
Like Modric had
they have
the year that he broke Messi.
Modric, Cannavaro in 06, Kaká. You have to do well on either the international stage, the Champions League, or you have to be Messi and Ronaldo level. So when you look at Kane, who's had an amazing season, he didn't do well enough in Europe for them to finish, which I think is a travesty. Because you look at the league campaign he put up. What more can you ask for?
What more can he do though individually as a goal scorer? Obviously, you're saying they didn't win the Champions League.
That's not my criteria, by the way.
No,
the
that's
Ballon
not down
d'Or,
to him. I totally agree. It's often down to the team. But he's just recently become the quickest player last night ever to 100 league goals. When people have the Kane-Haaland comparison, they talk about
top 5 league
of any top 5 league ever. Now the Kane-Haaland comparison,
he beat Haaland to be fair.
Exactly, is that Haaland is obviously a more clinical goal scorer, but Kane's a more complete player. But he's actually got there quicker than Haaland. I know you can argue that it's in a league that's not quite the Premier League. But then the counter-argument to that is, well, he's done it in the Premier League as well. It does feel like he's criminally underrated. Would you agree?
Do you think it's just like the aesthetics as well of a player too? I feel like maybe we gravitate towards players that look a certain way.
I think that's a huge possibility. But I think another thing as well too is moments. I think when we oftentimes think of players, we almost think of what's the moments that you think of when you think of that player. Like when I think of Yamal, I think of a certain moment. When I think of Salah, I think of with Kane. I think that's maybe the one thing that when you think of Harry Kane, you don't really think of a standout moment in his career or in the past season. But that's the thing. He's just ruthlessly efficient. There doesn't have to be moments. Game in, game out. The name of the game is goals.
Yeah.
So. 15 goals in 6 games to start the season.
I remember it was interesting hearing Wayne Rooney this week as well describe Harry Kane as the best thing than number 9 as well, interestingly. 4, I think that's about right. Top 3 time.
Yes, his favourite.
I love this guy.
So good.
I can't remember the last game I watched him play below an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Seriously, I think he's the most consistent player in the world.
Also, speaking of Kane being 30, Pedri finished 11th.
That's the big. I'm sorry. That is
Ballon
the
d'Or.
biggest
What's that about?
nonsense on the entire list. Because, look, I love Rodri, right? But if I look at Rodri's season last year compared to Pedri's this past season in Barcelona, I don't see too many differences in their performances. Both of them are huge hubs to their team. Passing, possession, creating, defending as well too. I feel like Pedri is massively underrated when it comes to winning the ball back. He is the most consistent and arguably the most important player for that Barca team. So to finish 11th, I thought that was the biggest travesty on the list.
Nieve, where would you have had Pedri on this list?
Honestly, I think you're spot on to have him so high up. He is just incredible.
And it's so difficult to compare him to a Kane, for example, because you look at Kane's numbers. But how do you quantify a player like Pedri? You have to watch this guy play. And when you do, the game at Newcastle, I thought the English media really got a good chance to look at him. Joelinton, Tonali, Bruno, they give so many midfields in the Premier League problems. He was waltzing past them.
Surprising as well, given the criteria like you alluded to earlier, which I agree with about moments and winning trophies, because they won a domestic treble.
Domestic double,
last season. So he was part of a trophy-winning team, which again is even more surprising why he wasn't in that.
Again, but like Salah did really well in the Prem. For them, it feels like Champions League or bust. It does feel like that, which is a shame because individually, how much can you possibly do? But
La Liga, Spanish Cup, Spanish Super Cup. From
so 1 and 2, we may as well do them together, I guess, because otherwise we're going to see a spoiler. So your names are Ousmane Dembele or Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
Which I think are most people's 1 and 2, just depending on what order, right?
Okay, I'm going to go against the Ballon d'Or. I think Dembele was the worthy winner. Let me say that. But I actually have him second on my list.
I saw you his Instagram stories going Dembele, Ballon d'Or.
I love Dembele. I'm very
second.
I'm happy he won it because I really like Dembele and I look at the career that he's had. It feels like a bit of a redemption, right? And I think he was deserving based on how the Ballon d'Or is given, right? The Champions League. But I mean, if I'm just going to speak about the brilliance of Ousmane Dembele this season, I think the turning point in PSG's season was Luis Enrique converting this guy into a free role central player. Because this is a guy we saw on the right, we saw him on the left. The end product was kind of struggling, but Enrique's decision to move him centrally has completely freed up his game. And I think a huge part about him is because of how ambidextrous he is, playing centrally almost seems to unlock any angle. He can play passes on his left, shoot on his left, shoot on his right. He was so crucial in terms of playing players through. That Champions League final, he doesn't score a goal. I think he maybe got 1 assist, but almost every single goal seems to have his fingerprints on it.
And I think as well, people forget PSG at the start of last season, the Champions League campaign, the start of that Champions League campaign, prior to the alterations to that front three and the fluidity that Luis Enrique found, it's like a totally different team, almost. So you have to credit Ousmane in that role.
You have to give him credit as well, too, because I mean, we're going to talk about Mbappe, right? There was that whole video about Mbappe and Enrique trying to tell him, like, you have to work hard for the team off the ball. Like, that's how the best teams win. Ousmane Dembele took that almost personally. You look at this guy's stance when the opposition has a goal kick. He's like an Olympic sprinter, just ready to press.
That was one of the images of the final for me. Him trying to press that into Milan backline, ready like a sprinter. Nieve, you'd have had him 2 or 1?
2 as well, because I think as much as he's unbelievable, there isn't a player that excites me more than Lamine Yamal right now.
46 goal contributions in all competitions for PSG last season.
But Lamine.
But you've gone with Yamal. Just to confirm, you'd have Lamine at 1 as well.
Best player 2025, Lamine Yamal.
When it comes to players that rise for the biggest games, this guy, like, Champions League semi-final, okay, this is when the performances go up. Nations League semi-final, Real Madrid in the Clásico. It's almost like the more the level goes up, the more his appetite for the game goes up as well, too. It's very Cristiano Ronaldo-esque in terms of he almost relishes these moments. And that performance against Inter, I know they coincidentally got knocked out of the competition, but you hear the way people like Zidane are talking about it. One of the greatest performances I have ever seen. At 18, and I don't want to keep stressing 18, because if he was doing this at 27, it would still be ridiculous. But the fact that he's this young and this ridiculously good, entertaining, creative, productive, devastating. They were double teaming an 18-year-old for Inter Milan every time he got the ball.
And he was playing the Euros for Spain at 16. Like, he was 16 when he was playing for a team that won the Euros.
The Marco was one-on-one against him. He's begging Mkhitaryan to come and help him. He strikes fear into opposition defenders.
That's what it is. It's that the amount of teams that will double up, sometimes triple up, and you can actually see it in the body language that they're fearful of him.
Okay, stick him up. So there's confirmation of Lyes's top 10 best players in the world right now. Dembele at 2, Yamal at 1. Oh wow, he's having a shocker there. Can't read.
There you go.
And Nieve, you agree with the top 2 you said in that order. Are there any names that you want to bring to the table that you think are missing?
Yeah, it's not necessarily that I think they're missing, but they're just ones that I thought of and wondered if you considered them at all. The big one for me is Kvaratskhelia.
Oh, so good.
And I think that is because we talk about PSG sort of last year to this year. A big difference as well is that they brought this guy in January, and he was not just sensational on the ball, but also his off-the-ball movement and help down that left-hand side, tracking back. I think he was such a big asset to what is one of the best teams on the planet. I
was really surprised Arsenal didn't go for him in January, because I looked at what they needed on the left. I thought that was a no-brainer. For PSG to go in and bring in a player of that quality in January, for me, I don't think they win the treble without him. So I would agree.
Just quickly, any other names you want to back up?
So just throwing the names at you. Did you ever consider Haaland?
Gravenberch was ridiculous, but I do think, again, first half of the season, I thought he was better. Haaland, I think, has started the season ridiculously, but missed the stretch of the second half, so I kind of penalised him for that.
Funny, you went with Vitinha.
Yeah.
I actually think I prefer João Neves in terms of the type. Maybe it's just my personal preference, but I thought of João Neves.
I think he's been brilliant as well.
And then you've got one final rogue name.
I've got a rogue name, it's got nothing to do with the league that he plays in. Kenan Yildiz, I think, has had a really good 2025, and I think it's in a team, Juventus, that actually has found it quite difficult at times, but he is he's elevated.
I think at the moment he's the best player in Italy, and I think in a year's time you will be seeing him potentially in these arguments. But I think
Vlahovic is a better player because of him as well,
he's ridiculous,
which is a big testament.
Enjoyed that. Some good shouts there. There is, as we say, confirmation of Lyes's top 10.
I'm not going to get ripped apart for this. You can hear my logic a little bit.
Let us know. We'll leave that to the
I spent all week thinking of this, so please.
You spent a long time. Let us know what you think of that at home. Enjoyed that. Some good shouts from Nieve as well there. Love that. Good debate. Let us know what you think.